We live? So I just had to quickly turn that light off, otherwise I would have had a halo around my head, and I don't feel like I deserve quite a halo. Welcome to Security Dog Handler Q&A/talk episode 31. As ever, this is just something where you can come on, ask your questions, you can ask me questions, we'll have a bit of a talk. If anyone's got anything they want to say, there's obviously the chat box. Let me shut that door now, the dog's gone out. Stay out there, mate. So yeah, if you've got anything that you want to ask, chat, got a comment on, I'll have some things. Why do you keep opening that door? If you've got anything that you want to ask, chat, have a comment on, do you want to come up here? You want to come up here? There he is. Obviously me and Coop. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Oh. Right, you happy now? You happy that you've seen everyone? Look, they're there. Right. Okay. So yeah, there'll be a couple of things I'll chat about. I'll chat about things like the last couple of videos. I'm sure there'll be some certain things that will crop up through there, and things like that. So yeah, how is everyone? See, we've got some people in already. So like I say, in the chat box, I hope everyone's okay. If you got, I'd like to know what's been going on with you. What's been going on with us? It's been the standard week so far. So just done my normal shifts, and then we've got a shift tomorrow night as well. Nothing really much has been going on. Obviously, the clocks have changed, which is going to change a lot of the way in which videos work for me, because obviously when I get to work, it's more or less dark, and when I'm leaving work, it's dark. So obviously trying to film stuff in the van or whatever when I've got like 5 minutes cleaning the van out or whatever it is, obviously I can't really do too much at work now. So obviously a bit same as last year, a lot of the videos will change to maybe some stuff at home, or doing more of my explanation stuff at home on sort of training videos, etc. Chip King, hi buddy, hi mate, how you doing? Hope you're good. I know you've been in and around the Discord. In the description below there is a link to the Discord. If you're interested in being in sort of like a chat with other dog handlers, there's information in there. But I think a lot of people have found it very beneficial, just to be surrounded by other dog handlers. So the Discord link's down below if you want to get part of that. Come in, see if you like it, see how it goes. You can always leave. It's nothing that you have to sign up to or anything like that. So yeah, been a standard week for us. Let's get into the last couple of videos. Last couple of videos have been quite simple. They've just been part 1, part 2 of security guard and security dog handling uniform. So the first part was just like standard uniform. So that's just going to be your standard stuff, which was things like boots, base layers, trousers, tops, jumpers, jackets, etc. And then obviously part 2 was a little bit more specialized. So specialized in terms of talking about tack vests, talking about sort of cold winter gear and different things like that. Aaron was really good in it, obviously gave loads of information. I had my say in certain stuff, and I think between the two of us, you get an idea of like the standard stuff you're going to need when you start. And then obviously in the specialized stuff, that's more towards maybe dog handler. But there are certain things in the specialized that will help security guards as well. And I know that Aaron talks a little bit about what a security guard will probably wear compared to a dog handler in that kind of stuff. So I think they've been pretty good. I know that the podcast episodes aren't for everybody, because in terms of the podcast, it's just sort of like a picture up, and then obviously it's just us talking as if you was listening to a podcast. And they're a lot longer as well. So they're typically around about an hour. I think the 2 episodes were like an hour and 13 and an hour and 20. Just because it's uniform, there's so much to talk about. So I know they're not for everyone. The views are okay-ish, well, good enough that and get a decent enough reaction that we will keep on doing them. But I understand they're not for everyone, and not everyone's going to sit there and listen to it for an hour, hour and a half, whatever it is. In terms of sort of comments and things like that, obviously it wasn't a biting video, so there's not many comments. I find it funny with comments. Obviously, things like bike work and things like that. That's where people seem to have a lot of comments or want to have a comment about the video, etc. In terms of things like the podcast episodes, in terms of like my normal kind of like information videos or something I want to say, a lot of people just watch them, go, "Oh, that was okay," and then they just leave it at that. I can understand that because I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch a lot of golf YouTube, watch a lot of football YouTube, and I'm not someone that likes lots of videos. I'm not someone that comments on every video that I watch. So I understand that. I understand that not every video that someone's going to comment on it, not every video that someone likes, they're going to push the like button on it. So I kind of understand that. But one thing I don't do in terms of like the golf YouTube and the football YouTube that I watch is that I don't just comment. If I see something that I don't agree with or something that's negative, I don't just comment on that. So I'm someone that doesn't really comment on anything, or I would be someone that comments on everything. I'm not someone that will just not comment when I like it, but if there's something I don't quite agree with, I wouldn't be straight on there to give my comment on that side of it. So yeah, because there wasn't any biting this week, didn't get a lot of comments, but I understand that there's obviously people that watch the videos and things like that and go, "Oh yeah, that I enjoyed that," and then they click onto the next video, and that's fine. Obviously, pushing the like button and commenting whether you liked it, etc., obviously gives me a bit of feedback, but I'm not someone that's going to hound you in order to do that. And I've always said with my channel as well, if you want to subscribe, you can subscribe. If you don't want to, then I'm not going to put a gun to your head and force you to do it. So GC, evening all, evening mate, how are you? So yeah, like I say, that's the last couple of videos, quite simple. In terms of videos coming up, I think, so I've got questions with my trainer. So again, I just sat Terry down, just asked him some questions that I came up with. I think so. There was some at the Discord, some people that I speak to outside the Discord. They had a couple of questions. So there's a questions with my trainer. I've got one of them ready to go whenever it is, and then I've got two other videos that I have the training footage from. But like I said, with obviously the clock's changing and not having a lot of daylight when I'm get to work or when I'm sitting in the van, etc. I need to video my bit of obviously setting up what the video is about and then moving it onto the footage and then giving sort of my thoughts on it afterwards. I've got an external patrol. And also have an internal patrol. So when I was at training the other day, we done an internal patrol. Now I will probably get not slammed. I don't think that's the right idea. On my internal patrol, I do make a little bit of a mistake, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a massive deal. But if something happens, then I will be liable for it. So it's a bit of a learning experience for me in terms of what I expected my dog to do to what he actually did. So next time I need to be switched on to right, this is actually what he does. So I think there's an internal patrol and external patrol. I'll probably try and get them out the 2 weeks following questions with my trainer. And yeah, like I say, that'll possibly be the next 3 weeks. I just need to put my bit towards it. Was a little bit. I did film something else at training. But for some reason, the microphone on the GoPro went a bit faulty, and it's got some interference now in the internal patrol. There is a bit of interference in the audio, but it's probably okay in order to use. The other part of training that I filmed. There's lots of me talking that you can't hear what I'm saying. You can't hear what the other person's saying because of the interference with the audio. So I don't think that one's going to be. I don't think that one's going to see the light of day. I probably need to try and do that scenario again, or do that bit again, and either do it without the microphone, without the case on the GoPro, or film it again with the microphone and see if it comes out better. So I'm not sure why the microphone had some interference in it. I might try and do some tests, see if it's whether it's a problem with the microphone or whether it's a problem with the way it was sitting on that particular day. So yeah, then the next couple, like I say, that's the problem with doing YouTube the way I do, obviously with the GoPro and things like that, is that I sort of had that training session. I have sort of that one take, or I have that one session in order to get that, and it's then not till I get home that I realise that there was a problem. Therefore, I have to sort of scrap that footage and then try and do it again. But it's not a massive deal, is it? Next time I go to training, I can just say to Terry, look, we've done this last time. The audio messed up. Nearly said a swear word. The audio messed up. Can we do it again? Because I just want to make sure I get this video out. So not a massive deal. You probably wouldn't even realise that them things kind of happen unless I told you. And I think that's one of the things about this, is that a lot of people don't see behind the scenes, is that there's lots of times that I am filming stuff or I am doing stuff and it doesn't come out well, or the audio comes out badly, and things like that. So, but that's just obviously a thing with cameras and that and technology, is that it's not 100% foolproof. Sometimes stuff happens. So, so yeah, that's going to be the next couple of weeks. Like I say, the questions from my trainer is going to be is decent. Obviously, just asking him some questions and getting his side of it. I do ask him in the questions from my trainers what his actual opinion on Cooper. Asking him what his actual opinion is on it, because obviously lots of people have heard my side of stuff. Lots of people have read comments about footage and things like that, and I think it was just not. I think it was good just to sit him down, and I think Terry's very honest. Is that if he says if he doesn't think that something, if he doesn't think Cooper's the best at something, he will say that. He'll say, look, we still need to work on this, or whatever it is. So just sitting Terry down and getting his actual opinion from when Cooper started to where he is now, and sort of also me from where I kind of started to where I am now, and getting his kind of opinions. I think that might be interesting for people to hear, because obviously, like I say, you hear me talk about it a lot. People read comments on videos and get other people's opinions on sort of stuff. So I think it'd be good just to hear his side. Coming up in November as well, I've got a couple of weekends away. One of them may interest you. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but one of them may interest you lot. I'm going to try and do a bit of a video on. I'll be going away for a long weekend, where I possibly could be meeting up with another dog handler, which will be interesting. Now, it's not. I'm not going there specifically to do a video with them. I'm not specifically going there to create content for YouTube and things like that. But I will kind of make a bit of a trip video about it, and I think you guys would be interested as well. So yeah, I've got that, and then I've got another golf weekend, and because of that, I'm going to have to work 2 Wednesdays in a row. So not this week. What are we now? Wednesday now. Next Wednesday's the 9th, which obviously won't be a live because it's every other. And then the weekend after that, when I normally do my live on a Wednesday, I'll possibly do it on a Thursday. If not, then it might be the Thursday after that. So the next live could be 2 weeks, it could be 3 weeks, and it's probably going to be on a Thursday, just because I've had to change my working pattern in terms to fit in sort of the long weekends. So normally, you guys know, I normally do a block of 3 and then I'll work a Thursday. But because of the way in which obviously going away Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. If I work the Thursday shift, I don't get home until early on the Friday, and I don't want to get home early on the Friday and then have to go to down the coast to go and play golf on the same day, or I don't want to then have to take like a 3-4 hour drive after I've just got back from a 15-hour shift. So I've kind of shifted my work pattern, which is a good way as well. Is that I think that's an interesting thing about my my situation, the way in which I work, is that I've been able to just to say, right, instead of working that Thursday shift, I'm just going to work that Wednesday shift. Therefore, I haven't had to use holiday days in order to cover me going actually away, which you can see as cheeky. But the way in which my situation works is that it's no extra stress for my company. And I'm still working exactly the same amount of days that week, so it's no extra stress for my company. It's no different from my working week. I've just shifted a couple of weeks where I'm just saying, right, instead of doing three days and then 1 day, I'm just going to do 4 straight, and then I'm going to be off for 3 or 4 straight days. So Chip King, you see in 101, maybe we'll see. So yeah, that's like I say. So the next sort of live after this, it could be a couple of weeks, could be 3 weeks, probably going to be on a Thursday. But if you're in the Discord, obviously I'll let people know, and then obviously I'll schedule it so that you guys know maybe a day or 2 before that there's going to be a live on that Thursday. So obviously just keep your eye out in sort of the feed, or if you're in the Discord, you'll get a message just to let you know that that's what's going on. So yeah. And we are nearly coming up to 9 weeks. Is it 9 weeks till Christmas, something like that? So yeah, it's going to start getting. Obviously, the weather's turning a little bit. It's actually still been quite mild lately. I've been using the heater in the van more to keep the windscreen clear. Sort of this time of year, your windscreen can start sort of dewing up and things like that. And I don't think it's too healthy to be sitting in a van. Obviously, if it's cold, you don't want to be sitting in the van, but obviously sitting around with condensation on the windows all around you is not going to be great for your breathing, because that would, to me, I don't know if this is 100% true, but to me, if there's condensation in around the windows, that means there's sort of condensation in the air and you're sort of breathing in that sort of watery kind of air. So yes, still having the door cracked for the dog at the back so that he can get some fresh air, and but obviously having it in the front, keeping the van reasonably warm for yourself, but also keeping all the condensation off the windows as well. Yeah, so but like I say, it's going to be on the turn very soon, and it's going to start getting a little bit cold. So in terms of the last episode with sort of the uniform and that, me and Aaron go into a bit of detail about how we kind of layer for them for when it starts getting a bit colder. Obviously, what kind of base layers you want to be looking for, what kind of cold gear you want to have, whether it's hats, snood, gloves, them kinds of stuff. And obviously just a few little tips in there. Obviously things like if you when you get some gloves, you need to bear in mind that you're going to be possibly fiddling with number padlocks and things like that. So you don't want to have to keep taking your gloves off in order to fiddle with padlocks, etc. So making sure that you get uniform that is going to be beneficial for the job as a whole. So you don't have to keep taking gloves off, or you don't have to keep taking hats and snoods off, or when you go in, you don't have to take off 4 layers. Then when you need to exit the cabin quickly, you have to put 3 or 4 layers on. You can just put 1 layer on and away you go. So yeah, I'll say that I think you'll learn something from that. Also with kind of Christmas, obviously not that I've really experienced it too much. You do get people sniffing around. Now, we all know that obviously Christmas is a expensive time for everyone, and for certain people, they need to earn their money to pay for Christmas, and sometimes that's not all legally. So obviously on the run up to Christmas is that you need to keep your eye out for people that are trying to get their money for Christmas. and things like that. And then obviously when you get to sort of the Christmas break, when they have a feeling that sites are going to be shut for long periods of time, or there's going to be no one there, that's when you might see people start creeping around, just having a look about and things like that. So I'd say between now and sort of the end of the year is you need to just be a little bit more aware. Obviously you should be aware all the time, but sort of coming up to Christmas, and obviously on that Christmas break, is that people are trying to get their money to pay for Christmas, or they start thinking that sites are going to be shut, therefore this is their chance to go unnoticed or whatever. So yeah, I think that's just something to keep in mind as well, is when you're doing this job. So has anyone got any subjects that they want to talk about? Anything that they want my opinion on, they want to give their opinion on? I think the channel from next year is going to change a little bit. It's not going to change in terms of it's not going to change in terms of it going away from security dog handling. In 2 years, on January 2nd, I would have been doing security dog handling videos for 2 years. So I think it's time for a change. I'm not saying that I've exhausted. I'm not saying I've exhausted all training videos. I've not exhausted all kind of information videos, and that stuff's still going to be around. But what I kind of think in terms of maybe not site videos, but sort of like videos on shift, and that is that I've kind of exhausted just doing this is a typical shift for me. There's no point in me every month doing a typical shift video and it being the same. So in terms of stuff that happens on site, depending on what happens and things like that, and how much I'm willing to share or how much I'm allowed to share, etc., I think in terms of shift videos, that's going to be saved for stuff that happens or stuff that I can share, etc. It's not going to be, this is another typical shift or this is another typical shift, because you're basically just going to be watching the same video. Obviously, the stuff in which I do in terms of training, obviously that can differ from shift to shift, but I think it's much easier just to do a video on this is what I'm working on now with my dog, rather than it being here's this shift, I done this bit of training, I done this shift, this is this bit of training. So it's much easier just to do more of a specified video of saying, I was on shift, wanted to get the dog out to do some training, this is what I done, rather than you seeing me walk around a little bit and then doing exactly the same thing. So but from next year, like I say, I would have been doing this 2 years. Very appreciative of all the people that have subscribed to the channel, all appreciative to the people that have got involved in these lives and things like that, people that comment, people in the Discord. I'm very appreciative of that. And like I say, I want to try and do something a little bit different, maybe take it a bit further. And yeah, so from January 2nd, I think that it is going to change. But in terms of it being about security dog handling, that won't change. But I feel like there's some barriers that we can push a little bit more and maybe do something a little bit different, rather than just doing the videos that I have been for the last couple of years. And I've enjoyed doing it. I don't think there's too many videos. There are probably a few videos that have not been my best, or I kind of look at now thinking, well, maybe I didn't do that as well as I could. But I think that's all part of the learning process, is that when you start doing this, because no one had done kind of what I was doing to start off with, I never had someone to watch some videos to get some ideas of how to set it out or get some ideas of stuff to talk about, etc. Is that you'll see through all my videos, it kind of progresses differently, because I'm kind of right, well, maybe I'll try this and see what happens, or maybe I'll just push this boundary and see what happens, and things like that. So and I think going into next year is I want to say, right, I want to change it up. This is what I'm going to do. There's obviously all this backlog that you can go back and get all that information, but I feel like there's something that I can do differently now. And in terms of it being like more professional and things like that, I do want to make it a little bit more professional, but then I don't want to lose I don't want to lose the personal part of it. Is that it is still my story, it is still me, but I maybe just want to do it a little bit more differently. Jose, hi mate, brilliant job you're doing. Many thanks. Thank you very much. Maybe we can set up the regulations with pay rates and the standards in the SIA. After I've seen plenty of people which ain't got a clue about SIA guarding or NASDU trained dogs, etc. Yeah, I spoke about that a little bit on the last live, and Terry had an idea of so you've got security guards in the SIA, you've got security guards, you've got door supervisor. Is that trying to make dog handling another section of the SIA to kind of maybe bring some clarity to it, maybe put some more stipulation and rules in, making sure that the people that are doing it are trained and got the knowledge to kind of do that sort of stuff. I mean, that's all in the other live. But yeah, I think with that as well is that you will be able to possibly look at the pay rates as well, because it does seem strange to me that as a static guard or a mobile driver, you can be earning anywhere between sort of £13 to £15 an hour, but then a dog handler can only earn, well, dog handlers typically earn somewhere between maybe £11 and £13 an hour. And I was speaking to someone the other day, is that they was turning around. They said to me that, well, yeah, but we have this extra in the dog that we obviously have to look after. We have to feed. We have to all the vet's bills and things like that. And I can understand that, is that you can look at it and say, well, yeah, but we have this partner that we have to pay and look after. But in terms of me personally, is that even if I was a mobile driver or even if I was a static guard, I would probably still have a dog at home, whether it be a German Shepherd or not 100% sure, possibly not, because obviously leaving the dog for periods of time, you probably have a dog that was a little less active or that was a little less drivey. But I would probably still have a dog at home. So I would still have the vet's bills. I'd still have to feed that dog. I'd still have to do all that sort of stuff. So I understand when you look at it and you say that, I understand when you look at it and say, well, yeah, but we've got this thing that we have to look after. Well, yeah, but to me, I would have that anyway. But obviously, as a static guard or a mobile driver, you can typically earn a little bit more than a dog handler. So the only way in which you can possibly try and bring up security dog handling wages is for it to be more noticed by the SIA and have its own card badge. I think badge is the right word for it. So public liability, van equipment, training, NASDU costs are much more that a normal guard would have. Yeah, I mean, also that you can look at sort of van equipment and different things like that. If you are self-employed, it's obviously you can claim the tax and tax back and all that sort of stuff. So you can get all the sort of the tax and the VAT, or is it tax or VAT? I'm not self-employed, so I'm not 100%. But you can obviously claim a lot of that back as a self-employed dog handler as well. Would not have something that a guard would not have. Yeah, but like I say, a lot of it you can claim back. Obviously, as a self-employed dog handler as well, is that you can go out and find your own work and set your own prices as well. So as a self-employed dog handler, you could go out and find sites that you could charge at £17 an hour and work on yourself. So you could then go and get the higher rates, but obviously you need to go and find that work. Obviously, if let's say that that's a 6-week contract. So you go to a company that's looking for security dogs on site. You go to them, you agree a price of, let's say, £18 an hour, and you're going to work that yourself. So it's £18 an hour, and it's a 6-week project. That means that you've got that for 6 weeks, but at some point you're going to need to be able to walk off that site in 6 weeks straight onto another site. So you obviously need to keep in mind that you need work on the 6 week and 1 day. So there's obviously ups and downs to being self-employed. Obviously, you can claim all your stuff back, but you are reliant on yourself to be finding all that work. And I think that's one of the reasons that I've stayed as a PAYE dog handler is, okay, yes, I can't claim a lot of the stuff back, etc. But my company has to look after me to a certain degree. Like they have to look after me, and I'm sort of guaranteed work. So let's say the site I'm on now, let's say they stopped it tomorrow, my company can say, right, you're off that site, but we're putting you straight onto this site. So there are ups and downs of both sides, and like I say, I think having the SIA dog handling section would clear a lot of that up, and they can sort of stipulate, draw the line in the sand and say, right, this is the line in the sand, you can't cross this, you can't cross that. But from what I understand is that the government don't want anything to do with security dogs. I think because they don't want to deal with, I don't think they want to be the finger to be pointed at them. They're probably quite happy that if, let's say, because this is something typically I've seen, is that there was a security guard with a dog that was limping, it was injured, and he had it in the van, and he had it in quite a public place. And basically what was happening is that the crowd were shouting at him to open up his boot, shouting at him to get the dog out. And in the end, he ended up getting the dog out, and the dog was limping. Now, it was all on video. The public or the 4, 5, 6 people around there were shouting abuse at him, etc., and things like that. Now, what the SIA want is that someone to point the finger at NASDU and say, you need to deal with this. The SIA don't want the fingers to be pointed at them saying, you need to do something about this. So I think the SIA are quite happy to just turn around and say, hey, he's just a security guard. That's as much as we get involved with. The dog side of it, you need to go and talk to NASDU or NIPTU or BIPTA. So I think that's the problem that you have, is that the SIA are just like, we don't want to do anything, have any involvement in the animal welfare part. So we're quite happy to give him a badge to say that he's good enough to be a security guard. But in terms of sort of the dog stuff, no, we want the fingers to be pointed at NASDU, NIPTU for them to go and sort out. We don't want to deal with that sort of stuff. So I think that's some of the issue that you're going to have with it. And like I say, the SIA are probably looking at it and saying, well, why do we want to create more work? Why do we want to create more complaints coming our way when we don't need to? When it's set up as it is, it's probably more sort of NASDU, NIPTU, BIPTA. I may be talking out of turn here, and if I am, then I do apologise. But you're probably looking at NASDU, NIPTU, and BIPTA that need to push for this kind of stuff. They need to go to the SIA and say, look, this is our proposed plan. We still want to be in charge of the trainers and the training, etc. But we just want you to draw the line in the sand so that dog handlers have a much clearer what's the kind of word? They have a much clearer idea of what they can and can't do, because a lot of it is still up to your judgment. So for argument's sake, is that if someone breaks onto site, it's your judgment to whether it is a dangerous situation enough for you to use the dog. Also, thinking about it as well is that how hard it is to get insurance on a security dog. Now, you can, in your liability insurance, is that you can get insurance for obviously if the dog hurts itself and it cannot work any further, is that you can get like a one-time payout. So let's, for argument's sake, say in your liability insurance, if your dog gets hurt and it can no longer work, they will pay you £2,000. And basically what that is for you to get a replacement dog. Now, what you can't do is you can't get insurance for medical bills. You can't get insurance for sort of vet stuff, things like that. So what you kind of have now is that you have a dog that is trained to go to work, to do a job, but you can't insure it. So therefore, if it hurts itself on site, or if it gets hurt on site. So let's say someone comes onto site and they attack me and the dog. If the dog gets hurt, you now have, let me put this to you. So someone comes onto site and attacks us, the dog gets hurt. Touch wood, it doesn't happen. Me and the dog get hurt. Now, my dog can no longer work any longer. So he's now not able to come to work with me, not able to do the job ever again. Now I get a £2,000 payout from the liability insurance. Now, what do I do with that £2,000? Do I spend £2,000 on vet fees, on looking after the dog, making sure that the dog is not suffering, making sure the dog is in the best possible way that he is, or do I spend £2,000 on getting a replacement dog? Now, one way or the other, if I spend £2,000 on vet fees and looking after the dog that's protected me, I still now need to go and spend £1,500 or £2,000 on a trained dog in order to step straight back into work. So either way, or if I spend £2,000 on a replacement dog, I now still need to spend 1,500 quid, £2,000 on the vet fees for my current dog. So although I think that in terms of getting the SIAs, that there possibly could be, and I think this is an idea if you want to start up your own business or you've got any knowledge in insurance, is that through the SIA they could make it possible that security dogs could be insured for illnesses, for injuries and things like that, because currently they're just seen as objects. They're the same as if you break your phone, you go to the shop, get your phone repaired, and you carry on. So yeah, like I say, I think there are some things that could be ironed out by it, but I've got a feeling that the SIA don't want the fingers to be pointed at them when it comes to sort of animal cruelty and things like that. GC, does the level of, say, NASDO commands your wage structure, as I see various levels your dog can get to? So yeah, you are correct. So the level of training that you do, so that you so obviously you've got level 2, which is what my standard is. So you've got general purpose level 2. You've then got level 3 and level 4. I think 4 is possibly the highest. In terms of what level your dog is at, whether you can earn more money, I'm 90% sure it will make absolutely no difference whatsoever. Now there may be certain sites where you may be able to go to and do that, maybe a level 2. So let's say you get your dog to a level 3. There may be certain sites in which you could go and do as a level 3 that maybe a level 2 can't. But in the grand scheme of things, on an average year, you won't earn any more money from being that higher. It obviously costs more money as well to go and do it. So I think typically you could be spending something around about £1,500 extra to get to level 3. And as far as I'm aware, you won't see, on an average, you won't see any more earnings over that. You can't ask for more money because a lot of the stuff that we do, GP level 2 is the standard that you're going to need. So they're not going to pay you as a level 3 any more money when they can have a level 2 on there for less money, let's say. So yeah, it's something to strive towards. I kind of looked at it when I got my NASDAQ level 2, I was like, okay, so we're at a level 2. Do I want to push towards level 3 and things like that? And kind of, no one really talked me out of it, but a lot of people were saying to me is that, look, you can go for your level 3 and you can have that title, so that you can turn around and say, well, my dog's level 3. He said, but you're not going to see any benefit out of it. It's going to cost you more money. But what we can do is we can train level 3 stuff, because your dog's got to a certain point with most of the level 2 and we know he can do it. We can still do that stuff, but on the side, we can still train some level 3 stuff. So you're still going to get your dog to there, but you're never going to be able to say the dog is level 3 because you won't pass the course. And I think a lot of it is that it's kind of like a brag. So a lot of people that say, "Oh, my dog's level 3" or "My dog's level 4," it's more of a brag more than anything. I don't feel like it's too much. It's not too much in terms of I'm going to earn more money doing it. I don't know anyone that's off the top of my head. I don't know anyone that has gone past GP level 2. I know in some Facebook groups and things like that, I've seen people say that their dog's level 3. But like I say, I think in the grand scheme of things, you won't see a pay increase, because most sites only require GP level 2, so they're not going to pay you any more when they can have a GP level 2 on there. So that's my side of it. I'm sure there may be some other people that might have a little bit more information about that. I think trainers will be able to give their opinions on it and things like that, whether it's worth doing. But just make sure that if you are talking to a trainer, make sure you trust them. Don't let them talk you into taking your dog to level 3 just so that they can get that extra bit of money or whatever. I'm sure most of the trainers wouldn't do it, but maybe there'd be some trainers out there and say, yeah, we'll get to level 2. It's going to cost you £600. And then once you get to level 2, we'll go for level 3. It's going to cost you £1,500. And they've turned a £600 course now into an over £2,000 course. So just be wary of that sort of stuff, but maybe ask some trainers and get their opinions on it as well. Niall Evans, evening mate, joining late. We'll catch up on the start later on. Yeah, like I say, with these lives and things like that as well, is that once I finish this, I'm not sure if it goes straight out or whether it has to render itself, but this will be able to obviously be viewed later on, and there'll be people watching this now that are watching it after it's already finished and things like that. But obviously, trying to catch it live is your best chance to ask your questions, like GC did, in terms of whether pushing on to levels. And actually, when you talk about the levels, it's quite not sad really, but it's quite strange that there's not like a carrot hanging in level 3, or there's not a carrot hanging in level 4 that actually makes people want to push their dogs further. Now, like I say, I thought about it. I know that there are people talking to me that say, look, I want to push the dog further, but do I really want to push the dog further and spend money on basically a piece of paper or a certificate when I'm not going to see anything out of it? Is that possibly you could look at, look, you can maybe earn a little bit more if your dog gets to a certain standard, or these certain sites are going to be GP level 3 and things like that. So I think it is a shame. I think it is a shame that I have to kind of explain it like that. Is that, yeah, go for it, do it, but you're not going to see any benefit out of it. A bit like university. Like, there are lots of people that have gone to university in order to get degrees and things like that, in order to get better jobs, but then they go to a job where someone with a college degree has ended up in the sort of same space as them. I'm not saying that happens a lot, but I'm saying that is kind of what you're looking at, is that just because you've gone to university and things like that, it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to get guaranteed more money than someone with a college course, or someone like me who's thick as shite. Jose, very well explained. Well, like I say, I think everyone will notice with me is that I've just listened a lot. I've just listened a lot in training. I've listened a lot in loads of conversation and things like that. I'm not 100% on kind of. I'm not 100% on everything. I've not read the book back to front and know every word that's in there. But what I've done is I've just listened to lots of conversations. I've asked loads and loads of questions, and I think that's one of the things I've tried to drill into people when they first get into the industry, and try to drill into people when they go to training. And that is that don't just turn up to training and look at your phone, or don't just turn up to training and do whatever you're told to do. Try and push the boundaries, ask the questions, ask different things, give scenarios. And when I first turned up to training, I've said this loads of times, that people absolutely hated me because I'd always have a question. And I think that's where I've got a lot of this information from, or this is why I know certain bits and pieces, is because instead of thinking, oh, that's an interesting question, maybe I should ask it, I just asked it. And different people give different opinions, different people have different experiences and things like that. So like I say, in terms of GC, asking that question, they're the kind of questions that when you go training, you should be asking as well. So if you don't want to ask it in this live, then when you go to training, ask that question. That's something that I've tried to drop in. And like I say, I'm not 100% on absolutely everything. I have an opinion, or I have an idea on certain stuff because I've asked questions and I've listened a lot. So I think that's something important to remember as well, is that always ask questions. And when you get the opportunity and you've got someone in front of you that has an idea, or especially trainers are normally the best ones to ask, because they've got the experience, they've gone through probably lots of situations, they probably have lots more knowledge than I do in terms of stuff. So like I say, if you ever get the chance and you have that 5 minutes, make sure you ask the questions there. Like if someone meets me at training, let's say I go training and I meet someone there, don't text me 2 hours later and say, oh, I was going to ask you this question at training, blah, 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 blah. If you see me at training and you want to ask me a question, if you want to ask me a question about YouTube, getting started on YouTube, things like that, don't see me then and then 2 hours later message me and ask me right there. Like if I'm standing right in front of you, ask me then. And talking of YouTube, I actually asked my Discord the other day. It was quite late, so I don't think too many people were active on it at that time. And I said to people, like, I understand that lots of people don't know how to film, edit, and get a video ready to put onto YouTube. But I said, look, let's, for argument's sake, say you knew how to put a video on YouTube. I said, what would stop you from doing that? And people that answered, or the conversation I had, was basically along the lines of the negative comments or the backlash that you get off of it. And people are probably fully aware that I get more positive comments than I get negative comments, but I obviously do get quite a lot of negative comments. And I understand that if it wasn't me, or if someone that was a little bit more fragile, it would have stopped straight away. Like I reckon I could have stopped my YouTube within 4 or 5 months of posting my first video. So I posted in January. I reckon by May, June of that year, through a couple of negative comments, I could have shut my YouTube down straight there. Therefore, all the stuff that I've done in terms of helping people with the Discord and helping people with YouTube videos and that never would have happened. And I think we just need to be a little bit more kinder, maybe a little bit more understanding of that. What is the bigger message that someone's trying to do? Like, my bigger message has never been about the ultimate protection dog. My message has never been about how to get your dog to bite a sleeve, etc., etc. My whole message is about, look, here we are. This is what we do. You never really see us. In terms of security dog handlers, the public very rarely see us. In terms of, we normally work through the night. By the time you turn up, we're gone. And then you maybe see us for like half an hour before you leave to go home. So they never really see what we actually do. And a lot of my messages has been, look, this is what we are, this is what we do, this is what my dog is like. They're not all monsters. And obviously through it as well is that I've helped people. So I think there's lots of people that can make videos the same way as I've done, with maybe some more site experience, with more years in the industry, etc. There are people that could possibly do YouTube videos, but a lot of them have just turned around and said no, because they don't want to deal with the constant backlash, or they don't want to deal with the constant comments of people knocking them down and things like that. So I think we need to, if someone else wants to start doing it, I think we need to be a bit understanding. And like I say, I've been the first one, so I knew that when you start something, is that when people don't understand it, or they don't understand that this is where you can get that content, that there is going to be backlash. But I feel like I've possibly opened it up to now new people can come in, and it doesn't have to be people that are experienced. It can be people that are just starting off, and look, you can say, look, I'm starting off day one, this is what I'm going to be doing. I've spoken to this person, I've spoken to that person, they've given me this piece of advice, so I'm going to start doing that, and taking it from sort of day one. I think that's the one thing I regret, is that I started my YouTube after I passed my NASDU. I think that the videos before, so the 6 months leading up to that, I think them videos would have been a lot more beneficial for people, seeing the way in which my dog turned up to his first session. Now, the problem that I had is that I couldn't ring and say, look, I really want to be in this industry, and then turn up to session one with a camera. I understand that, because they would have said, well, is he doing this because he wants to be a security dog handler, or is he just doing this because he wants to be known on YouTube? So I understand that maybe that wouldn't have been the best look, but I feel like them videos would have been a lot better for people. So that's my one regret, is that I only started doing my video footage after we'd passed our NASDU, and you never got to saw sort of the 6 months leading up to that. Jose, what's your thoughts on the breeds that NASDU will approve as a recognised protection dog? I have seen a few dogs that ain't recognised by NASDU, yet they are well worth working dogs. Yeah. I think they're certain. I think that I think, what's the best way to look at it? I think they have to have a limit, and they have to have recognised breeds. Now, I understand that there are other breeds that are decent. I would say that a lot of the dogs that you see for that sort of stuff, the problem is if you open it up to saying, I've seen a giant schnauzer that's really good at it. So if you turn around and say, right, well, we're going to allow this giant schnauzer in, then there's going to be another breed that say, well, we want this breed, and then there'll be another one that want this breed. I think that sort of like the shepherds, the herders, the Rottweilers, the Dobermans, and things like that, I think that they've been around, or they've been approved for so long that, like I say, if you then allow a giant schnauzer, then someone else is going to want another breed, and then someone else is going to want another breed. So I think they just need to stick with that and say, look, these are the dogs we do approve. So yeah, I think that's. I understand that there are other breeds that can do this job, but I don't think they have sort of the breeding line, like the bloodline, in order to really get approved. I think with a lot of them breeds is that they've been diluted down. So the ones that are good, they may be like the golden egg in that breed. Now, just seeing one giant schnauzer doesn't mean that all giant schnauzers will be able to do it, because the bloodline might have been diluted, but this dog might just be a 1 in 100,000 dog. So I understand that there are, but they obviously have to protect themselves and, like I say, not open it up to people saying, well, I want this one, well, I want this one, I want this one. So, or whatever it is. And as a standard, why do you think it's important for bite work or deployment of your dogs? When is it risky when it is risky and very much about de-escalating and prevention, I feel it's not just about bite work. Yeah, me and Aaron are going to do sort of like a podcast episode or do some form of video about escalation procedures, because he's kind of spoken to me about that and said, look, you haven't done a video about it, I think it'll be good. And doing like escalation procedures in terms of like, if it's just one person or if it's just like a kid, obviously you don't need to get the dog out. Or if it's just one person, you can have a conversation with that person from distance and see how it goes from there. And obviously if they escalate it, then you try to de-escalate it. And if they carry on, then obviously you go through your escalation procedures to, sorry, there's a dog here there. Obviously you can go through your de-escalation procedures before you get to that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think it is important. I think that, I mean, I've not been in a situation where I've been confronted face to face with someone that's aggressive or angry or things like that. So I can't 100% say how I will react, but I understand what you mean, that a lot of people are very quick to get the dog out. But there was one a little while ago about the protesters climbing over the fence, and he was at the bottom of they was just peaceful protesters. You could see you could guess by the age and the look of the protesters that they wasn't there to cause him any harm. And he had the dog at the bottom of the gate. The dog was interested, not interested. That's up for opinion. And Aaron said on that, like, why has he got the dog out? There's no need for you to have the dog out for that. That is not a threatening situation to your safety. When you've got people that are 50 plus climbing a fence in order to just to protest. So yeah, I think we'll probably do like an escalation kind of chat about that as well. A dog that alerts searching a presence is mostly enough, and the rest is for the guard to deal with. Bite work is good, but not always easy or needed. And that's something that I've tried to bang on to people about my dog, that people say like he's biting and things like that isn't great. And I just say, look, that's not the be all and end all. And that's why I said earlier in this video is that I haven't had many comments this week, because it's not biting, because people look at my videos and they only want to comment about the bite stuff. They don't want to comment about the more normal stuff, or like the day-to-day stuff that a security guard or a dog handler is going to do. That people are so invested in, like, this dog has to have like ultimate protection, this dog has to like do ultimate damage to someone if we are attacked. And I 100% understand that there are certain situations, there are certain sites, there are certain things that go on where you want a dog that is going to want to do mass damage. Now, I'm not going to say mass damage in terms of try and kill someone, but I'm saying mass damage. I know there are certain sites, I know there are certain situations where that dog needs to do mass damage in order to stop 1, 2, 3 people, whatever it is. I understand that. But on a day-to-day, a year-to-year basis, that's not going to happen all the time. And having one of these dogs that is so bite-driven, that is so aggressive, having that dog in a day-to-day life, in terms of having it at home, in terms of taking it out for walks around your local area, in terms of trying to keep that dog occupied during a 15-hour shift, it's just so much more harder work. And that's why I've tried to go into people and say, look, I understand my dog is not going to rip someone's throat out. I understand that. This is up for debate again, but my dog will bite you in terms to make sure you leave us alone. But my dog's not going to try and rip your throat out. But what I can do with my dog is I can take my dog to the park, walk past a bunch of kids, and not have to worry that my dog wants to try and bite one of them kids. I can take my dog to the park and not worry about someone walking past me and my dog trying to nab them. My dog's good at the standoff, very vocal. My dog's very good at searching for people. My dog's very good at searching for articles. I don't need a dog that on a day-to-day basis wants to rip someone's throat out because they walk past us. Or I don't need a dog that when I go to the park, 6-year-old kid comes running over because it's a fluffy dog and my dog try and nail the kid. That's not what I need out of a dog. What I need out of a dog is a dog that is going to be confident, stand there, will bite someone if he has to, but will be generally on a year-to-year basis pretty cool at home, pretty calm, not need entertaining every 5 seconds. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Niall Evans passed door supervisor course, thank God. Good to hear, very good to hear. Going to get an LDN from my boss as soon as my application is age and right stage, and I can do BIP to them. Well, congratulations on passing your door supervisor course. Glad to hear that you are moving on and things like that. Right, last one because I need to go pretty soon. Another thought is a few times I have needed police assistance, yet I'm waiting now for them to attend. What do you think we are left? Why do you think we are left for dead in these situations? Now, yes, there are certain times where you're going to need to call the police or whatever it is. In terms of being left for dead, look, you can't. We all know about budget cuts on the police, and that's why, personally, if you get the SIA to have a dog handling section or whatever it is, you can kind of form a kind of partnership between dog handlers and police. Is that if there is a security guard, let's say you're working in Kent, and a phone call comes through to the police and they say, right, we've got a security guard, he's got 3 people on site, they've been aggressive towards him, etc., and the nearest policeman is an hour away, let's say, because it's in quite a remote area, but they have a company for a dog section that is within 20 minutes. Therefore, you could get a security dog handler to that site to hopefully de-escalate the situation, to try and protect the security guard or whatever it is. But in terms of why do you think we're left for dead in them situations, we all know about the budget cuts for the police. The police are understaffed and things like that, and you can't expect a police car or patrol car or that to be right next to you, when something happens. Now, my place is quite remote. I reckon I don't know this for sure. So anyone that wants to break onto my site and say, well, we're going to have 20 minutes, I would say that in where my site is, I wouldn't expect a police patrol car to be within maybe 20 minutes of me because it's in a remote area. So I don't think we are left for dead. I think it's an underfunding of the police, not having enough patrol cars and things and that out there. And like I say, you can't, just because something happens, you can't expect a policeman just to be going past you at that time. Like, they have other things that they're going to be doing. I'm sure in a 12-hour police shift, let's say they work 12-hour shifts. In that 12-hour police shift, I'm sure they are going from incident to incident to incident. So just because you phone up, it doesn't mean they're sitting at McDonald's having a Big Mac at that time and they can just drop it and go straight there. They are probably dealing with something at that time. And if the closest one to you is dealing with a situation, it may be someone that's a bit further than then has to get to you. So yeah, I don't think it's the police's fault. I think it's either an underfundment. But again, like I say, with the SIA, there could be some form of partnership. Let's say GP level 3, you could be a GP level 3 handler. So if the police are too far away from a certain incident or they can't get to it, that they could send a GP level 3 security dog and handler to that site. Maybe that is where people at GP level 2 will go, well, actually, I want to be a GP level 3 because if I do that, I could be a patrol security dog handler twice a week or whatever it is. And maybe that will push people to get to that sort of standard. That's a good question. That's just something I'll come up with in my head. I've not thought about that before, but like I say, I don't think it's the police's fault. Brilliant chat, mate. Many thanks for your hard work, smashing work. Nice to hear your thoughts. Right, that is an hour and 4 minutes and 47 seconds. I'm going to leave it there because I've got football training in 10 minutes. Want to thank you all for jumping on. That's been a good chat. Lots of good questions. Hope you like my thoughts. If you've got any thoughts on it, make sure you comment down in the comment section below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below for loads more videos. Like I say, this weekend there'll be questions with my trainer, and I will see you in either 2 or 3 weeks, depending on how my holidays work out. All right. Cheers for watching. See you later.